How's it going, everybody? I am DJ Riley, one of the hosts for Boys on the Bench, and I am back with my top 5 picks for these Saturday NBA matchups. Now, if you followed along yesterday, I did not make a YouTube video over my top 5 NBA picks, but I did it over Daily Grind Fantasy. So if you wanted to check out Daily Grind Fantasy and what that is all about, make sure you are checking out that video because, guys, I'm telling you, it is one of the easiest tools that you can use. And positive EV is one of the best betting strategies that you can use because it's proven to be the most profitable long term. But looking at yesterday's picks, we ended up going only 2 of 4 on those picks yesterday, with Pascal Siakam and Kelly Olynyk being the ones that cashed out. Kyrie Irving was my pick of the day, and it felt very good all the way up until the fourth quarter. He had 19 points. I needed him to have 25, but he had 19 points going into the fourth quarter. Didn't score a single point. That game became a blowout very early into that fourth quarter, and it just kind of went downhill from there. So I thought for sure that we were going to go 3-1 on the day. That did not happen. Pick of the day loss. We went 2-2 with an even split. So not the best of days, but we were looking to bounce back today. But so also make sure you're checking out that X profile. The link is in the description down there. All of our picks are posted in that X profile, 100% free. So don't feel like you have to stress out about that. I know other people make you pay for picks. That is not what we are about. So anyways, with that said, let's go ahead and jump into today's picks, leading it off as always with my pick of the day, and that is Fred VanVleet going over 21.5 points plus assists. Does have a 3-game history versus this Phoenix Suns team, where his most recent one was on Leap Day just a couple of days ago, where we saw him go for 26 points plus assists on 39 minutes of play. And then in his other matchup, he had 28 points plus assists on 37 minutes of play. And then in his first matchup this season, he only had 16 on 29 minutes of play. So he's cleared this line greatly in his last 2 matchups, in his most recent matchups, both of those coming in less than a week ago. So anyways, Daily Grind Fantasy is giving us a 51.1% chance of hitting with an average juice of minus 122. And again, Daily Grind Fantasy, guys, we were looking for a roughly that 54% whenever we were making these bets. But I really like this, although Daily Grind Fantasy and all the other sports books have this line coming in at about the same. Recent performances, though, he's hit this in 3 out of his last 5 and also 3 out of his last 10. So he's not hit this at a high rate over his last 10, but coming back from this all-star break, he has been playing lights out. Now, if we also look at how he's done over his away games, he's hit this line in 15 out of the 24 possible away games this season, which is 63%. Now, like I said, coming back from the all-star break, not only has Fred VanVleet been doing good, but the Suns have been pretty bad at stopping opposing point guards, allowing all 5 starting point guards to hit their overs versus them in terms of points plus assists. Again, Fred VanVleet has hit this line in his last 2 matchups versus this Phoenix Suns team, and he's also shooting the ball at a very high mark, shooting 15-plus field goal attempts in 3 out of his last 4 games, while also having 5-plus assists in 3 out of those last 4 as well. Phoenix versus the point guard position ranked middle of the pack at allowing the 16th most points plus assists to that point guard position, but they have struggled so much since returning from the all-star break. So anyways, guys, that is my pick of the day. So let's go ahead and move on to the next pick that I have for you, and that is Tyler Herro going over 22.5 points plus assist. A 1-game history versus this Utah Jazz team, where it is December 20th, he went for 31 points plus assist and 39 minutes of play. So he cleared this line quite easily. Daily Grind Fantasy, though, is giving us about a 50-50 split with a 50.5% chance of hitting and an average juice of minus 119. So again, just indicating that sports books are kind of all coming in at a roughly the same things for not getting good variance in terms of positive EV here. Now, looking at his recent performances, he's hit this in 4 out of his last 5, but also 4 out of his last 10. Now, if we look at how he's done this entire season, he's hit this in 23 out of 36 games, which is 64% of the games this season. Utah has not been able to figure it out versus opposing shooting guards, where they've allowed 10 out of the last 11 shooting guards to all hit their over versus them. Herro is coming off of an injury, which this is going to be his 2nd game back now, and his first game at home since that all-star break. And Herro has hit this over in 11 out of the last 15 home games, where we see him averaging 21 points and 4 assists. So again, that's likely to repeat versus this Utah Jazz team, who currently allows the 2nd most points plus assists to that shooting guard position. So as long as Harrow is staying on the floor quite a bit, he's dominated Utah earlier this season, and Utah has just struggled. But Harrow's also done very good in home games. So really like him to go over 22.5 points plus assist in this matchup. But let's move on to the next pick, and that is LeBron James going under 33.5 points plus assist. Now, this may be an unpopular pick because we all want to see him hit his points, get that 40K, but he only needs 9 points to hit 40K. I still like him going under in this game. He has a 2-game history versus this Denver Nuggets team, where his most recent matchup was on February 8th. We saw him go for 32 points plus assist on 35 minutes of play. But earlier this season, we saw him only have 26 points plus assist on 29 minutes of play. Daily Grind Fantasy is giving us 52.2% chance of hitting with an average juice of minus 128. Now, recent performances, he's only hit this under in 1 out of his last 5 and 5 out of his last 10. So his last 4 games, he's been in an absolute tear, but now he faces a top defense in this Denver Nuggets team where, again, LeBron has not hit this line versus the Denver Nuggets team all season long. The 2 games he has not hit it, got very close in their most recent matchup, but then not so close in their first matchup of the season. Now, 2 out of the last 3 small forwards have hit their under versus Denver since returning from the All-Star break. And like I had mentioned, LeBron, I expect him to get a lot of shots today as they're trying to get him to get over that 40K mark, which we've heard about all season for him. But again, it's only 9 points. So I feel like once he hits this 9 points, I find it really hard to believe that the Lakers are going to use LeBron this entire game. So again, I love him going under 33.5 points plus assists versus this Denver team who allows the second least amount of points plus assist to the small forward position. But let's move on to the next pick, and we're going to stay in the same game, but that's Nikola Jokic going over 22.5 rebounds plus assist. Again, 2-game history versus this Lakers team, where his most recent one, February 8th, we saw him go for 24 rebounds plus assists in 36 minutes of play. And then in the first matchup this season, he had 22 rebounds plus assists on another 36 minutes of play, which he just hooked this line. Daily Grind Fantasy, though, is giving us a 52.6% chance of hitting with an average juice of minus 130. So again, looking for that 54%, but 52.6 is pretty decent odds in terms of positive EV. Recent performances, though, he's hit this in 4 out of his last 5, but he's also only hit it in 4 out of his last 10. So he's been very dominant since returning from this All-Star break, where the Lakers haven't really been that dominant since returning from the All-Star break. The Joker over his last 5 has been averaging 28 rebounds plus assists, where we see the Lakers ranking near the bottom 10 in both rebounds plus assists, where they allow the 10th most rebounds in all of the NBA and 7th most assists to opposing teams in all of the NBA. The spread currently opens up as a pick'em, and I expect this game to remain competitive the whole way through, which means that there's only going to be more minutes for Joker today. So Lakers versus the center position, rebounds plus assists. Again, bottom 10. They allow the 10th most in all of the NBA. So really like the Joker to go over 22.5 rebounds plus assists like he's done in 4 out of his last 5 games since returning from the All-Star break. Now, that brings us to our last pick, and that is Keontae George going over 13.5 points. Does have a 1-game history versus this Miami Heat team on December 30th, where we saw him go for 21 points on only 28 minutes of play. Daily Grind Fantasy is giving us another 50-50 split with a 50.6% chance of hitting with an average juice of minus 119. Now, looking at recent performances, he's hit this in 4 out of his last 5 and 6 out of his last 10, but he's also hit this in 4 out of his last 5 away games. George's usage has continued to increase over the month of February, where we now see that he's played in 29 plus minutes of play in 8 straight games, while also averaging 13 plus field goal attempts over that span as well. Miami has allowed the last 3 shooting guards with point lines in the double digits to all go over. So the fact that Keontae George is opening up at 13.5 and Miami has struggled against high usage shooting guards just only further proves that this line is likely to go over today. Miami versus the shooting guard position, though, they have done very good this entire season, allowing the 8th least, but not so much in the month of February. So now that we're in March, they're not really looking too good. So anyways, with all of that said, everybody, these are my top 5 picks for these Saturday NBA matchups. As always, make sure you're subscribing to this channel, hitting that notification bell, and getting notified anytime these videos are dropping because they are coming out daily. Also, make sure you're dropping something in the comments. Let me know which pick you're fading, which ones you're tailing, any of that stuff. Maybe which ones I missed. There's not a huge slate today, but let me know what your favorite picks are today, and let's have a great day. I will see y'all tomorrow.